I wasn't counted previous to the '67 referendum. So when I was born an alien in my own country.
Me and the father-in-law was handling wooden out there, and we didn't know what the guy was up to or what he came for.
No, I don't remember the actual vote.
I think that was 63. They were talking about voting, that's all I heard. I don't know what voting was.
And he said, you have to fill these forms out and put your name down and so forth and so forth. We didn't know what we were doing because, remember, we never voted before.
My father was born in 1956, so he was born in the time before the referendum, and born in the time when Aboriginal people weren't, not only were we not classed as citizens in our own country, but we were also classed as flora and fauna, you know, the missing link between man and ape.
My mum just talks to me about it sometimes, but not much at all.
It was like Aboriginals getting the right to vote, who the leader was, who have the right to vote.
Late afternoon or getting on the evening, I think. Yeah, what? And the police came along, and he said, "What you doing in the street, boy?"
I used to see my grandmother and grandfathers all walking out of town at sundown all the time. And even though the '67 referendum had approved the Aboriginal people can stay in town, it's about citizenship, being citizens in our own country, the laws were still transfixed in our people's minds.
I think, what have I done? Cop was talking to me. So I went in the truck and waited for the Paul to come out of the pub. That's it.
But I got my citizenship before that, 63, 4 years before the referendum come through. So if you read my little letter there from the government, I was supposed to be a white man, really.
Then I usually ask her, like, why are we doing this, or, you know, what are we trying to get across to the people, you know, like the government? And she just tells me, like, we're trying to get our land back and know what we are. We're not flora and fauna, we're people.
Throughout my years, I never learned of the 1967 referendum. My parents, you know, told me about the referendum itself. Being from Kalgoorlie and living here, it not only makes me aware, but it also saddens me to know that in comparison throughout all Australia, in our state of WA, Kalgoorlie had the highest votes of no for Aboriginal people to be counted as citizens.
Australia referendum '67 voted yes, 95% or whatever, and of which Kalgoorlie voted no. That gives you an indication of where we're at here in this region.
And come payday, we went into Southern Cross, and because they worked with us, we were mates, they said we'll go into the pub and have a beer. And this was before we had the rights. And we had to tell them or him, very sadly, we can't go into the pub with you.
It saddens me to know that that generation, they're still alive today, some of those people, and their children, though, are here today in Kalgoorlie. So I can only imagine that perception that they had, whether it be ignorance or racism or not knowing and innocence, their children, that's been passed on to their children.
But he said, you belong here. I'm the one who's a stranger here. I just came out from Italy. I'm not from here. You are from here.
But I know without a doubt that racism and to discriminate, that's not a gene. You don't pass it on. It's something taught. So.
Education is not only a good thing, it's a serious thing and a dangerous thing. You see, when you find out what's really written, there's a lot of things you don't want to hear and you don't want to read.
Massacres. That's what deep trauma is. We're talking about cold case murders throughout the land, and nothing's being done from the so-called law system to investigate some of those deep case or cold case murders.
Like, yeah, seeing our Aboriginal folk, to me as a young kid, they were strong, happy, fun-loving people who loved going out bush and who looked after and protected their people, and they were, to me, they were a proud people. I can just picture them now. And that was while I was at the mission. I had a lot to do with the people. And then going away to Leonora and then on to high school and stuff. And then when I came back, it seemed to me they, like they'd gone down health-wise, and I used to think, oh, they're not a proud, strong people anymore.
Application for citizenship, Brian Champion. DNW 186-52.
Being treated as equals and the freedom to walk around without curfews and being bossed and everything, that was a very good thing. But to me, the negative side of it come in with the alcohol rights and everything, and just ruining family lives.
In what way does the applicant live according to white standards? In every way.
If someone says like Aboriginal, they usually think of crime and all that sort of stuff, where we're not just that. We're people.
Racism, sometimes, but not all the time.
It's a sensitive subject, but a subject that needs to be spoken about, because it's very important. It's important for the next generation coming through. It's important for my generation and the future generations to come. And that's not only Aboriginal people, but Australian people as well, non-Aboriginal Australia.
Until we get the blade, or a good doctor has to get the blade and point down to the poison. Once we get to the poison and let the poison out, then we'll be able to move forward.
Today?
Yeah.
Well, change a little bit, not much.
I hope to grow up into a future where we can be proud of who we are and we know where we've come from.
Place Kalgoorlie, date 27th of the 5th, 63. John Taylor, protector of natives.
We're waiting. We've been around thousands of years. We've got a few more years to wait around.